welcome to episode 178 of the Corner of Knit and Tea. I'm Laura, also known as Fluffy K on Ravelry, Fluffy Kira on Instagram and Twitter. I blog over at thecornerofknitandtea.com, and that's where this episode's show notes will be. I have an Etsy shop called The Corner of Knit and Tea, and we have a Ravelry group called The Corner of Knit and Tea, and right now we are doing our April WIP along. I talked about this a little bit last week, and I received some positive feedback from some podcast viewers. I basically just set it up as an along thread. Again, this can be any craft: spinning, knitting, crocheting, sewing, weaving. It is a prompt to finish up those WIPs this month. Works in progress. Anything that has been lounging around that you would like to get up and off the needles. And as I said, if you don't have any WIPs, then cast something on. That is now a work in progress. So anything pretty much counts. Do some amount of work on it this month. Post it in the finished objects thread, which I have not started yet. At the end, I will do a random number generator draw. I have a project bag, and I'll probably do some kind of yarn. I don't know whether it will be hand spun or from my stash, but that will be at the end of the month. If you are playing along for Stash Dash, then I'm sorry, I'm only going to run this for 1 month, mostly because I have a ton of WIPs that I would like to knock out, and I'm trying to keep myself from starting a million new things. Next month would be lovely to start a million new things with clean needles and not a bunch of stuff hanging around, kind of giving me a guilt complex. That's just me. So if you're interested in joining, join along, and basically anything that you finish this month counts. So how are you? I hope you have had a wonderful week. It settled down a little bit here. It has been mostly cold, although we did have a delightful Thursday. I think it was Thursday, where we got up to almost 62 degrees. Or no, I'm sorry, when I was driving home it was almost 72 degrees. It was in the 60s most of the day. It was sunny and delightful, and then on Friday the temperature plunged, and today it is snowing. So we are not getting much accumulation, but it has basically been lightly snowing on and off all day. My poor husband is taking part in a relay race today that runs over 45 miles. He has a team of 10 members. He rented a van, so everybody does their segment and then hops in the van. But it is a cold and miserable day out there, and I feel bad. At the end, there's a party with beer and a bunch of other things, so he'll be fine. And then I am doing all the laundry and changing the bed linen, so he'll have a nice clean bed to come home to. He can take a hot shower and crawl into bed. But that is what he's doing today. Today, I am just, I'm getting some work done around the house, some tech editing and various other things that I've been putting off. Swatching some ink samples and some knitting samples. And then mostly just hanging out. So let's get started. Today's tea is from Tea Runners. It is a subscription box that I belonged to up until this month. I canceled my subscription only because I have so much tea and I'm having trouble digging out from under all of it. But it delivers, you can choose either monthly or bi-monthly, or you can just buy one box at a time. It is 4 teas per box. This was from several months ago. It is a Pu'er vanilla mint. It's got cinnamon from Vietnam, vanilla beans, refreshing peppermint, and then Pu'er tea from, I think the Pu'er is from China, but it doesn't specifically say. It also says this has organic licorice root, so that must be why I like it. It's got all the flavors I love. So that is what it is called. It is under Tea Runners. I don't know if they have some more at their website. Sometimes if they have leftovers from club, they'll sell it. And I also don't know if you can see it, but that is the clear back, what it looks like. So it has been steeping, and I tried this one once before. It was very nice. Kind of an interesting combination of flavors because I don't usually do vanilla and peppermint together, but I like it. So, and I put a little sweetener in it, and wow, that is just really good today. It tastes really fresh and good. So, let's get into the knits. I have a finished object, although it doesn't look finished because I forgot to weave in the ends. I meant to weave in the ends and wash it and block it before we met today, but I finished Miles' sweater. So ignore the ends hanging from it. I will get to those eventually. This is Miles' second birthday sweater, so it's a little early. He doesn't turn 2 until October, but I like to get a head start on the knitting because there's lots of stuff to knit for the fall. Each of the kids get a sweater and winter gear, etc. This is the pattern Simon and Simonetta from Elena Nodell. It is a fairly basic raglan. It's got a garter stitch panel in the front, and then it's got this really nice detailing on the sleeves with some slipped stitches and some picking up. It's very hard to see on here. I picked it because I thought it was a good sweater for variegated yarn. Some of the details obviously will be better noticed if you do it in a solid color yarn. I used a skein of Miss Babs Yowza in the colorway Shaken Not Stirred that I got at Maryland Sheep and Wool in 2012, I think? 2014. Sorry, 2014. And I had bought it for myself, but decided to use it for this. It's got greens and blues and grays, and it came out really pretty. I'm very happy with it. And I used up a good chunk of the skein. The skeins are 560 yards. I have about this much left. I'm gonna say probably between 150 and 200 yards, probably 150, which would be perfect for a hat. I might make him a matching hat. I just need to weigh it and see what I used, and then, like I said, weave in my ends. But I'm very, very pleased with that. I'll put some finished photos once I finish it, and I think it will be a great sweater for him for the winter. I left my cast on really loose up at the top so that it's got a lot of give for baby's noggins, which are huge. So yeah, so that one's done. I'm still contemplating what Roxy's will be, and I need to shop for yarn for Roxy because she slightly exceeds a Miss Babs skein of Yowza now, and she'll be 5. She'll be 5, yeah. So I need to make her a 5-year sweater, and she slightly exceeds 560 yards, or it would be real close. So I will be thinking about what I want to make her sweater out of and purchasing that soon. So you will see that in the coming months, but not this month because I'm not casting on anything new. So that is that one. Let's go next to my sweater for me. It probably doesn't look that different other than the fact that it's quite a bit longer. I got several more repeats in on the sweater for me. This is Wolf River by Melissa Seshwari, and I am using a Craftsy kit that I got, so it is knit in, oh, I brought the label today. I brought a label today because I knew I had done this last week. It is Cloudborn Fibers, which is Craftsy's house yarn, and it is called Wool Bulky Twist Slate Heather, and it has 228 yards to 125 grams skein, so it is right there. I do not see this particular base on their site anymore. I bought this back in the fall, so I don't know whether they discontinued this base or whether it is just out of stock right now. I don't know. It makes me a little nervous because if I run out of yarn, I can't get any more, although I ordered a kit in my size, so hopefully I will have enough. I am 9 repeats into the body. I'm going to do a 10th repeat and then divide for front and back and work on the pattern mostly as written. I found a couple people's notes very, very helpful because the pattern calls for it to be knit front and back, and then it follows you up to where you start the neck shaping. So it didn't specifically mark where you would break for the armholes because it wasn't fashioned to be knit in the round, and it's just a square drop shoulder top. So I am measuring and going off some other people's notes and trying to add just a little bit of length for myself because I didn't want it to be too cropped, but I'm gonna end up between 16 and 17 inches for the body before I break, which is about right for me, and then I will mess with the armhole, neck hole, everything afterwards, and then the sleeves are stockinette, just picked up and knit in the round. So, and I am about to start my 3rd skein, and I have 2 more. So I should be good, but I don't want to modify too much, particularly in length, because I'm afraid I'll run out of yarn. So that is where I'm at. I hope by next week maybe I will be done with either the front or the back, or if I'm really lucky, both of them. This has been kind of an instant gratification knit in the sense that it works up pretty fast. I have been doing like maybe a repeat a night, sometimes 2. I really hope to get one more repeat done this evening and then break and maybe start on the fronts and backs. So that is where I'm at with my sweater. Hopefully get to show you more soon. Now, since I finished my whole sweater, I decided to pick up a WIP that has been marinating in a project bag for quite a while. I cannot remember exactly when I cast this on. I know it was sometime last year because it was for the Northbound Knitting knit along, because that is the yarn that I'm using. And I am using a skein of Northbound Knitting BFL Silk Lace, which is 80% superwash BFL, 20% silk, so almost what says about 875 yards in the colorway Metallurgy, which is one of her signature colorways. It is this great, it's kind of silver, bronze, gold. It's probably kind of hard to see on the monitor, but you'll see a little bit better in the pattern. And the pattern that I'm knitting is called Banana Leaf, and it is by Yuki Ueda. And I don't know if you can see because it's in black and white. It is basically, it is kind of a rectangular, it has points on both ends, but it is kind of a rectangular knit. It is knit sort of on the bias, basically, so you're increasing at the outer edges and decreasing towards the center. And then it is columns of knit and purl stitches, so it gives it kind of a textural look. It is a super simple knit once you get to the midsection, and we just repeat ad infinitum until you get to the end where you're gonna finish it off. The only issue for me is that it's kind of boring to knit. I really like it. I really want the finished object. It's kind of boring to knit. So this is what it looks like. I have done maybe 10 or 20 rows this week. I did not get very far with it when I put it away. Oh, actually, you can see the texture. Basically, it's just the textured columns, and like I said, it's kind of knit on the bias. So you are increasing at the outer edges and then decreasing at the center. So you've got like a center spine through the whole thing. And you can also see the colorway a little bit better. Like I said, it's kind of silvery and bronzy and goldy. It's just all different kinds of metals. And the BFL Silk Lace is super soft and cozy, and this will be a great wrap in the winter. And I have no idea if I'll finish it this month, but this has taken the place of my sweater as my work project. Now, I probably should be working on socks because I'd like to finish those too, but this is one of those things that has been sitting, and I would like to work on it. So I'm going to work on this month and see how far I can get. I don't know that I'll finish it, but it is my WIP of the moment. So basically what I'm doing is I'm working on this one and I'm working on the sweater. I will probably cast on a sock if we go to the movies or I need any kind of roundy project. And if I do that, I will cast on my second cherry blossom sock. Again, I would like to cast on another pair of socks for another Northbound Knitting knit along that is going on right now because I have a skein of her sock yarn, but I am making myself finish my current pair of socks first. So, so those are the 3 knits that I am working on. I do not have any spinning whips, so I am just going to continue spinning as I normally do. So sip of tea, and then we'll talk about spinning, and then I'll be done. This one's going to be a little faster than last week. Thank you for those of you who hung in there with me last week. I know it was kind of long. I had lots to talk about. I try not to ramble on if I've said what I've come to say, but some weeks I have more to talk about than others. That is really good. So last week, or 2 weeks ago, I showed you a braid that I wanted to spin. It was a Hello Yarn braid. It was targhee or tarhi, 80% tarhi, 10% bamboo, and 10% silk. And it was in pinks and oranges and yellows, and then it had a pop of this really cool kind of minty aqua, and it is done. And I'm not sure the monitor will do it justice. It is really fun. It kind of looks fallish colors because it's like pinks and browns and oranges a little bit and some swampy greens and a little bit of yellow, and then it's got this pop of kind of, like I said, minty aqua. It came out really beautifully. My guess is because of the targhee, it will probably puff up quite a bit, so I have no idea on the yardage. My guess is it's going to be a sport weight skein, and then the bamboo and silk give it a little bit of luster, a little bit of shine. And so I hope this is going to be a pretty skein. It would probably be wonderful for socks. It is not superwash, but it would probably be wonderful for socks. And I guess that's where I'll leave it. It's going to have a bath this afternoon, and then I will take some pictures and get it up in the shop this week. So if it interests you, just let me know or keep an eye out for it. And that is what I spun this week. For my next spin, I dug into, I think I mentioned back around Thanksgiving, we went to California and I met a Ravelry friend, and she had a ton of fiber in her stash and was trying to get rid of things, and she handed me a box full of fiber. So I have been trying to work through some of that. I've used some of it as prizes, and then I'm using some of it to spin myself. And I went into the box and picked something out this week, and this is called the Happy Hooves Club. And I don't specifically know the designer. I will have to look her up. This was a selection for Earth Day, and it was her April 2014 selection, so it's been a while. It is 4 ounces of BFL top, and it is called Temperamental. So this is it. It is greens and blues. Very earthy. My tones, I really like these, and I'm going to spin this one. So this is what I'll be working on this week. It will probably go in the shop if it holds any interest for you. It is greens and blues, and then it's got just a smidge of yellow there. So that should be very pretty. That is what's going to go on my wheel this week. So I think that is about it for me. I hope that you have enjoyed the podcast this week. I know it was a little short. I had stuff to show you, but not a ton of stuff. I can guarantee you will see my sweater again next week. You will probably see that scarf again next week. And then if I maybe get working on my socks, we'll do that. Or once I finish this sweater, I actually have another sweater that's been on the needles for me for a while. So I will bring that back and work on that. So that is mostly April. Like I said, if you have WIPs or you want to join along, even if you cast on and cast off a hat this month, you have finished a work in progress this month. So please join. And I guess that's about it. Until I see you next week, I will say happy knitting, happy spinning, happy sipping, and I'll see you next time. Bye.